Welcome to Live on Purpose Radio with Dr. Paul Jenkins, where you will hear inspiring stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Feed your mind with a regular dose of positive energy and show up for your life every day on purpose. Living on purpose means that you have a purpose and you do it intentionally. And now, here's your host, Dr. Paul.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Live on Purpose Radio. This is Dr. Paul, the shrink who expands your life, bringing you another episode of Live on Purpose Radio. Thrilled to be here with you today, and I'm excited to have a good friend who is in studio with me today. I want to introduce you to Mr. Lee Kralovec. Say hello, Lee.
Hello, Dr. Paul. Good to see you. Hello, everybody.
Good to see you, and thanks for joining me at Live on Purpose Radio today.
Thank you for the invitation.
So, you're kind of a unique person.
Yes.
You know what? I could say that about anybody, right? But there was something that intrigued me about you, Lee, when we first became acquainted, and you told me what you do. You are a ski butler.
Yes. I only do skis and poles.
Wow. Well, okay. So ski butler, those two words I have never heard together prior to your sharing that with me. Because butler, I get the image of, home Charles kind of thing. And skiing just doesn't fit the butler thing. But you've worked for some time now at Deer Valley Resort.
Yes.
Which is here in Utah. For those of you who are outside of Utah, you may have even heard of Deer Valley. It's near Park City, but it's kind of the posh end of Park City. Is that fair to say, Lee?
Yes, it is.
And so up there they don't have ski hops, or what would they call them otherwise? They got ski butlers. So what do you do, Lee? Can you explain that?
Well, essentially, I work at a Equity Share. It's a private hotel.
Okay.
And most of the people at this, that they buy a membership to ski at Deer Valley. Mm-hmm. And this is the only place they do. They come for a couple of weeks during the season at separate times, mm-hmm. and they leave their equipment with us.
Okay.
Rather than shuttling and carrying it or anything like that. They can also ski right out of the building from one particular spot. Thus, what I do is, prior to their arrival, I take
mm-hmm.
their ski equipment, skis and poles only,
mm-hmm.
and put them in a locker that's on a level of the Silverlink chairlift. Silverlink Run.
So they can put those on and just
I carry it out on... No. See, I carry it on the snow.
Oh.
I will many times take their poles also, but usually they take their poles out mm-hmm. for stability on the snow. I take it out to the edge of the run. I lay them on the snow. So all they have to do is click in and off they go, and push them off and right on down and start skiing on the mountain.
Okay.
But then when they depart, or when they come in at the end of the day, mm-hmm. I pick their skis up off the snow, mm-hmm. brush them off, mm-hmm. make them look nice, put them in a locker for the next day.
Okay.
And do that every day that as they're there. Then at the end of the week, typically, once they depart, I take their equipment out and put it into storage. And prior to their mm-hmm. next return, at which time it gets put into a locker again. But my personal goal is for them not to touch their skis while they're there is my personal goal.
Except when they're on their feet, heading down the hill.
Yes, that's
pretty much it.
That's a good way, yes.
All right. Now, some of you listeners might be thinking, what? Dr. Paul has lost it. He's got this ski butler on his show. But Lee, you and I have had some fascinating conversations about this because we're really in the same industry. When you think about it, it's the human service industry.
That's true.
And the only way that you and I can even make a living is if we assist someone else to have a better life.
Yes, exactly.
And so this isn't about skis today or poles.
No.
This is about a principle underneath all of that, and you have latched onto this. You've found some really remarkable success even in the last few months and years, as you have learned these principles. So I want to spend some time today identifying with you what some of those principles are and what experience you've had with that. So you're a ski butler. Couldn't anybody do this job?
Most people take it, the resort's official title on the job, it says they're ski valet.
A valet.
Ski valet. So it's kind of like move item from here to there, and
it's like your car.
It's
kind of
pick
it up
you park
and
your
deliver
car.
it to.
They put it from here to there.
Yeah.
But I personally see it more as you were saying, is and my thought process is, what can I do to help this individual, this person, this family, enjoy their time more? Walking on snow is really difficult with ski boots. It's not a very stable platform. They're narrower underfoot. Under the foot part, they're much narrower. And that makes it difficult to walk on snow. You'll sink in. So what I found, it started off with just a couple of elderly, people. Sorry for lack of a better term, but people I started carrying the skis out. We used to put it just on a rack just outside of the building. And I thought, gosh, this would really help them a lot. One gentleman's 80 years old and been skiing a long time. Great skier, still skis. For all you people who have doubts, should continue on and get going.
Yeah.
And
too old?
I carried it out.
I think not.
He had to take and carry the skis then from the rack out about 100 feet. And that was pretty. They've done it for years. Well, I just decided to help that individual and a few others like him to make it easy for them, and they loved it. And a little light went on and said, "Why can't I do this for everyone?"
Right.
And just began to do that.
Now, Lee, have you noticed that there are people out there who are not going to do anything extra unless they get paid for it or unless they have to? You've noticed those people out there, haven't you?
Yes.
You've taken a little different approach to this, and I know that there have probably been some times when people look at you like, how come you get all the privileges? How come you get all the benefits? But it's because you've honed in on this concept that as you strive to make it better for other people, there's a return for that.
There is.
So you started doing this before anybody offered you extra tips or extra compensation for doing it, because you just had a sense that this is the way to treat people.
Yes.
And then in return, they treat you better.
Yes.
So talk about that a little bit. What have you learned?
I learned, first off, that people enjoy it. They, at first, not being used to like, oh, don't do that. We don't deserve this type thing. But usually about the third day, they're beginning to really enjoy it. And the idea, my idea is I want them to enjoy their vacation.
Yeah.
I want them to come and just have a really different experience. Carrying skis is a tough thing. They're these long, klutzy sticks. There's no handles on them to grab onto, and with gloves and other things in the hands, very difficult. Again, with walking with the ski boots, and it just clicked into me to go, let's just help them to enjoy. And people have turn around, and yes, they have rewarded me financially for doing that. But it's simply because they've enjoyed their vacation, their time more. They've enjoyed their life more. That's really the key. They've enjoyed their life more.
So when your goal is to assist them to have a better experience, it obviously benefits them, but it benefits you too.
Yes, it does. And I enjoy my job more. Before, we're just kind of standing around waiting, okay, and take the next set of skis out to the ski rack. Then when you see them on the rack, bring them back in. After a person has skis all day long, it's a workout on the legs. And I pick them up off the snow as many as I can. They loved it. Another thing I began to do, because most people have their skis on a ski rack and drive up to the ski resort, and their skis are cold. Well, our building is it's heated. The skis are heated because it's inside.
Because it's inside. Sure.
And what I did was I started taking the skis whenever I can and putting them out on the rack and let them cool off, so they don't accumulate snow on top of them.
Oh, right.
And
because the snow would stick to it if
they'll
it
stick
was
to it.
warmer.
And what people will do is they'll slide the tops across each other and chaff the top and damage the top layer of their skis. And brand new skis start to look old.
Mm-hmm.
So it's another thing I just looked at and said, hey, this is something I can do. It'll help them. And that's really my primary goal is I have a gift of serving. My skills are serving.
Yes.
And it's just, what can I do? I'm always looking to what can I do to help that person in front of me.
And the little things are big things.
And yes.
So can I tell on you?
Yes.
A little bit. He's got this concerned look on his face. You do have a gift for this, Lee. I don't think this comes naturally to everybody, but it seems to you. You're constantly on the lookout for how do I increase or enhance the experience of this person. And just, it's almost like a personal challenge to you to figure out how you can do the little things that make their experience better. So last spring, my family and I went up to Park City.
Oh, yes.
That's really near to Deer Valley, right? We're just taking a little retreat. It was a little 2-night thing. We're staying at the Holiday Inn Express up there in Park City. And you had somehow got that out of me that we were staying at the Holiday Inn Express. I just, it was just a curious, well, where are you staying, Dr. Paul? I told you. I show up at the hotel, people, and Lee had arranged to deliver this nice little bouquet of flowers for our room while we're staying up at the, and thank you. I know I thanked you at the time for that, because what a nice touch. Now, I didn't ask you to do that. There was no obligation for you to do that. But that's just an example of what you're talking about.
Yes.
It occurred to you, hey, there's some little thing I could do to enhance Dr. Paul's experience while he's staying up there in Park City with no expectation for a reward. And a part of that is what has impressed me to invite you to be on my show today. So does it come back to you? It absolutely does.
It does.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Now, Lee, you've taken this and expanded this idea of service, personal, meaningful service, to where you're doing a lot more than just being a ski butler. And I don't know how much you want to get into that, but it has created opportunities for you. Is that true?
Yes, it has. Yeah. I call myself a personal assistant to people. Mm-hmm. I will do whatever anyone else wants someone else to do. Mm-hmm. And hopefully get compensated for it.
Sure.
By doing it joyfully and enthusiastically, people typically do want to give compensation for it. But I do it because it is part of me. Mm-hmm. One of the thoughts that comes to me as you say this is, it's natural for me, but I think it can be developed too.
Yes.
I think it can be developed.
I think you can practice it.
Yes.
And you can get better at it. Now, this is one of your unique skills and talents that you've been able to really expand.
Yes.
As you've gone from doing this typical ski butler stuff, I know that it's developed into opportunities for you to not only serve people, but to rub shoulders with and be mentored by people that you may not have had any business even knowing to start with.
Yes.
So, and like I said, I'm not sure how much of that you want to get into, but what a fantastic payoff that becomes for you. But here's the acknowledgement I wanted to make before the break today. You didn't do it because there was this enormous payoff.
No.
The enormous payoff comes because you did it.
Yes.
And there's
absolutely.
a difference. If you go into it thinking, how can I make some real money doing this? It's gonna rub people the wrong way. Have you seen that? Have you experienced that?
Yes, I actually had my clients say that specific thing to me today.
Because they don't trust you.
Yes.
If that's your motivation.
Yes.
On the other hand, if you, like you said, if you show up and you joyfully serve them for the purpose of serving them,
Yes.
then you develop that relationship of trust. They never want you to go away. So they make sure that you have reasons to not to
Yes.
go away.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
All right.
That happened today.
Did I
Just
summarize
in the
that
last
fairly?
4 days? It's really last about 2 weeks. It's really come to be true.
Wow.
Yes. Through working hard and diligent for other clients, I was referred to a gentleman who's 80 years old, and his wife is 69. They don't drive anymore. And back in February, I just started doing their driving. And out of that, just being that using my gifts, ultimately I was asked to go to Nantucket, Massachusetts with them for 10 weeks while I summered there. And then what they learned from me was I was trustable, that I would go above and beyond for a simple thing as making sure they had ice cubes.
Simple little
things
become big things.
Things. And after the 11 weeks, and I've become the personal assistant for the household things. And it's just
and they don't
continuing
want
to
to
grow.
swap you out for somebody they don't trust, for someone who hasn't shown to them that they're willing to serve joyfully.
Yes.
So they never want you to go away. It's a beautiful concept. We're just getting started on some great principles, Lee. We will be back right after this message.
This is Kirk Weasler to tell you about morebetterbooks.com. Morebetterbooks.com is where you can find more better books for a more better life. Not only that, let me tell you about some of the very fun and cool select titles on morebetterbooks.com. You'll want to get a copy of The Dog Poop Initiative. This best-smelling book could change your life forever. It certainly changed the lives of thousands of Boeing employees, as well as school teachers, parents, leaders across the United States and in Israel and in Germany. And you can get your own copy at morebetterbooks.com. Whoa, that's not all. What about The Cookie Thief? This classic tale told in a rhyming format, fully illustrated with very fun hidden messages. Pick up a copy now today on morebetterbooks.com. Are there great titles there? Finding Your Pathway to Mastery, Beyond Illusions, Make It Great. These titles are only available on morebetterbooks.com. Go to morebetterbooks.com today and begin to have a more better life and live that life on purpose.
Thank you for joining me for the Live on Purpose Radio podcast. It is truly an honor to be a part of your prosperity team. Please visit the website, drpaul.org, where you will be able to sign up for Empower, a quick, inspiring message that will be sent right to your inbox several times a month. Click on the blog link to share your comments and be part of the discussion. You can also pick up powerful information products and stay in touch with upcoming events, all to assist you in creating and living a life that you love. Share Live on Purpose Radio with someone in your life today, and thanks for listening.
To be what we are and to become what we are capable of becoming is the only end of life. Robert Louis Stevenson.
And when you dream big, as big as the ocean. 'Cause when you dream it might come true.
So Lee, you've learned some things. And
Yes.
It took you a couple of years to learn it all. But
Only a couple.
only a couple. Yeah, he's still pretty young, you guys. And you're finding that there is this enormous payoff. He's giving me sign language right now. The fact that this is radio,
Yes.
probably is going to keep you safe on that one. But okay, so we were talking a little during the break, Lee, about how there's this destination out there, this thing you want to go to. And there's a book that you and I have both read called The Go-Giver.
Yes.
And this is by Bob Berg. And folks, put it on your reading list. This is good stuff. You've heard the phrase go-getter. That guy's a real go-getter. Well, go get something, that has the feeling of, I'm going to go grab, take, steal, borrow, whatever I need to do to get what I want. And Bob's book is called The Go-Giver, which totally reverses that whole philosophy. Have you noticed, Lee, that you have a sense, personally, if somebody's trying to get something from you?
I do.
How does that feel?
I do. It makes me turn away. Makes me just, not want to associate with them.
That's right. And the people that you are trying to serve are going to be sensitive to that as well. You said something about they know that you need money. Share your thought about that.
Well, we live in a society where we need money to live and to enjoy life.
Sure.
And they understand that. But when they experience that giving first, they're willing and freely, very freely, abundantly give back. It's really that simple.
Once they sense that you're there to give to them instead of take from them, it changes the whole energy of the transaction. There are givers and there are takers. Have you noticed?
Yes.
And we're all kind of both, right? But when you show up to take something from someone, they sense it, they feel it, and they're repulsed by that. They want to protect themselves.
Yes. But they don't protect themselves in my setting. They don't protect themselves so much in turning away or anything like that. It's more they don't give the financial reward.
Right. They may give the expected gratuity.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yes.
In fact, you've shared with me there are other people in the industry who are just upset about all of these tightwad guests.
Yes.
I don't want to get you in trouble.
Yes. No, you said it. It's because of the go-giver attitude that has been developed in my life more and more as I've seen it working over the last few years. My income, one example is when I was driving at this property. We include transportation to and from the airport in Salt Lake. And even when I was working 3.5 days a week, I would make more as much or not more than the full-time drivers would make on gratuities for several years.
And that ticked them off, didn't it?
Yeah, but the interesting thing is when I offered to
reveal the
secrets, they didn't want it. They didn't want to do it.
Interesting.
I also have, in the specific position that I am, as I said, the other gentleman is a ski valet. And as you explained it to me, it made sense as to why this other gentlemen are not making the income. They come across as, I'm just doing this to get as much money as I can from you. I'm only doing the minimum and expect a whole lot. And as they have come to discern or interpret that I'm making more than them, they begin to not have the best of attitude in some respects, but their expectation is more, and people begin to know that expectation. And so...
And there's a resistance that comes up.
There's resistance.
As opposed to the openness, the trust that happens when you truly show up to serve someone.
Yes.
So we're talking about this in the context of your job, which you have developed into more of a mission in a lot of ways.
Yes.
I mean, it's a purpose. Yes. It's a purpose-driven passion that I see that you have. to go out there and create as much value as you can for these people without a lot of thought to the compensation, but with an understanding that it will follow.
Mm-hmm.
In some way, in some
Yes.
time, it's coming back to you
Yes.
if you show up that way.
Yes.
That's been your experience.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
Even more so, in my personal life, I do the same thing.
Mhm.
I don't want to say that just because it's on the job that it's all of me. It's become all of me, and I look for with friends to do the same thing. With family, even though it's a distance, my mother always says, "Don't send me flowers." I always send her flowers. And she always says thank you. And she loves it. There's 1,500 miles between her and I. I look for, even with friends, for the simple things to make them know they're valuable and important.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
And
what most people are looking for.
And it doesn't have to be a huge thing.
No.
So,
No.
and I gave the example of when I took that little retreat up to Park City, and here's this welcome thing that I didn't expect.
Mm-hmm.
And it made a difference for me. It made a difference for my wife and for my kids. But it made a difference for the hotel staff.
Oh, really?
They notice stuff like that. That doesn't happen all the time. It happens occasionally, and when it happens, it's noticed. Now, you might think back on that experience and say, well, it wasn't that big a deal. It's one of those little things that
Mhm.
turns out to be a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you might go spend, 10 or 20 or $30 on making someone else's experience enhanced
Mhm.
and greater and more sweet. And in doing that, what kind of return comes back into your life? I think it's immeasurable.
Yes. One of the client I'm personal assistant for. He has a right arm that it doesn't move like it should.
Okay.
And when I was yesterday, I was at the Apple store. I picked up a new little pad that he can use his finger for.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided if I would have said, okay, this costs $70, he would have paid me for it. But it came on to my light went on in my brain, said, give this to him for Christmas. You're looking for a Christmas gift. Well, knowing I needed to go to the house, and his wife would go, well, what do you got for me? I'm like, oh, geez, what am I going to get her? She's got a little Alzheimer's.
Mhm.
And so even just a simple gift
Mm-hmm.
really was a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were in Nantucket, I discovered she liked these little veggie chips, like a potato chip that's made of veggies.
Sure.
So I thought, light went on again. I wrapped up an extra bag that I had bought of these veggie chips and brought that to her.
Mm-hmm.
And that made her day. When
Just
she
a simple
opened that
little
up,
thing.
she was like, wow, you're thinking about me. You're thinking about something I like.
Right. So I'm almost hesitant to get into this, Lee, but these clients, would it be fair to say that they're like gazillionaires?
Yes, he is.
They're very wealthy.
Yes.
They're extremely wealthy.
Yes.
And you have become indispensable to them. Okay, that to me sounds like a really good economic arrangement. Do you see why I was hesitant to get it?
Yeah.
But,
Well, there's times, that it comes easy to go, okay, yes. But having developed solidly the go-getter, I'm sorry, the
go-giver.
go-giver, it comes there first.
yes, which I want to emphasize and reinforce. There's so many of us that are looking for, and listeners, just kind of inventory your own thinking for a minute. Is there something you're lacking in your life? Are you thinking that something could be better for you if you had greater resources, more money, whatever it is? Okay? And think about this, Lee. The money that you want or need to solve whatever problem you have already exists.
Yes.
Where does it exist?
It exists in this client's
In the pockets of
portfolio.
other people,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Why should they give it to you?
That's a good question.
Well, it is. And the answer is because you give them something that's more valuable to them than their money. You give them something.
Yes.
And folks, that is the only moral economic answer. The only reason anybody should give you what they have is because you give them something that's more valuable to them. Does that click with you?
It does. It does.
So that has to come first.
Yes. He was, this morning when I gave him this little pad, he was like, I read about that. And he had a big smile on his face, said, would you please hook this up for me? Mm-hmm. And it's Bluetooth, real easy, because it's Apple product, which is great, because I am a computer nerd. I do not, but it was.
Yeah, but you know more than he does about it.
Yes, he calls me. I was hired as a driver. His computer guy sometimes driver now because he relies on me to do all these other things and it's right. Seeing the light bulb underneath the cabinet that was burned out. He didn't ask me. I just saw it, picked up the lamp. Tomorrow I'll go and install it. It's just my eyes open, taking care of his things, maintaining his things, getting his car washed today while they were at lunch, thinking about him. And I even said, we talked about keeping the car washed more this winter. He said, yes, let's get the car washed. So it's not thinking about me, it's thinking about them.
Constantly on the lookout for what can I do to improve their experience.
And it's become easier as we're talking about the choosing, the destination is joy. Mm-hmm. And in your Live on Purpose series, which I purchased about 3 years ago, I've been listening to 2 tracks on the second CD over and over. Charlie Brown. Oh yeah. Okay. But the other one is your story of being on top of them of Timpanogos. And I'm saying this so people get your audio, and talking about the mirror. And you've got 2 points to start with. Where you're at and where you want to be. And most of the time, for 3 years, I listened to that. Okay, what do I want? I want this in life, and I want that in life. The destination is this. It was about 15, 16 days ago, the light went on in my head and went, my destination is joy.
Yeah.
I have wanted to be happy for a long time.
That's what it comes down to.
And then it clicked to finally, through your help and what you do, to be, for me, it was a very big impact, to be able to choose to be joyful.
It's a choice.
It's a choice.
Wow.
It is a choice that can be made. It's not easy. And I've gone through a lot of years. I'm 58. And
you're still young.
Yes. And I've worked at this. I've sought this for a lot of years. I have tried to work at being happy. And through your support and through some other programs that have been very helpful, I've learned that I can make that choice. The strength has come. I like myself. I'm a man that loves myself. I love my life. And I'm working to love my life more.
And one of the secrets you've found to that is serving humbly, joyfully, serving others, and increasing and enhancing their experience. Yes. That's been one of the keys for you.
Yes. And
I love what you said, Lee, about it is a choice. And what a revelation that is. When you finally come to that realization, it is a choice. Choose joy.
Choose joy. Choose joy. Choose to give joy. At the checkout. Say thank you for your help. I do this all the time. Thank you for your help today. And people are astounded. It's just thinking, I went to a restaurant last night, and the gentleman asked me if I wanted the senior discount. And I said, well, I'm 58. He said, you don't look it. I said, well, thank you. And I handed him $1 tip. And this is a buffet place where he doesn't usually get tips. Right. I walked out the door, and he said, thank you for the tip.
Yes.
He wasn't counting on it. He gave great service.
You said something else earlier, too, Lee, about how in addition to gratitude, there's some other basic principles that just make a huge difference. Apologizing.
Yes.
Acknowledging when you've made a mistake, when you've messed up. Just be genuine about that. We're so busy defending ourselves and trying to rationalize, oh, well, I didn't mean to do this or that. Just own it.
Yes.
And then, and it's so much less of a burden if you just own it.
Yes.
Just acknowledge it. Everybody makes mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And the gratitude, wow, powerful stuff. Well, as we're wrapping up here, Lee, I want to give you the last word. What is it that you want to leave our listeners with? How would you just kind of sum this up? I think you already gave a good shot at it with joy is a choice. But what other thought do you want to share as we wrap up?
The destination is joy and happiness, and it really is a choice, and it's painful to do along the way, and over to finally get it. I would say most of all is if you really want it, get help. Contact Dr. Paul. He's got, really has a way to help. He's got resources to help, and it can be.
And thank you for that, Lee. Thank you for being here at Live on Purpose Radio today.
You're welcome.
Everybody go out there and live on purpose.